All right, everyone. Welcome to the fastest Raiders show online. My name is Stephen Michaels. I am joined by Philip Robinson. Phil Robinson. We are going to do this for the elite. This is just for the group, this one. So we're going to do this. This probably won't be the fastest. We're just naming it that name, obviously. So, but we're going to go through these top 5 topics that everyone wants to know about. We'll discuss them, debate them. And here we go. What's up, Phil?
Question number one. Should the Raiders have paid Nelson Aguilar? Let me start this one off. Nelson Aguilar had a good year for us, caught a lot of balls, had a lot of had a few drops. And what I would have said reason why he needed to stick around more is less about what he did and more about what he said at the end of the year in terms of telling the team what they needed to hear about themselves and that they all suck, quite frankly, and were selfish motherfuckers who weren't playing for each other. Because the long and the short, we could talk about numbers, we could talk about statistics, we could talk about a lot of shit. But if you're a football team and everybody's selfish and not playing for each other, you're never going to win anything. Now, looking back at what the Patriots gave him, 2 years, $26 million, do I think that Nelson Aguilar deserved 13 million? No. He only scored 8 touchdowns and didn't break 1,000 yards. He didn't deserve 13 million. And even though receivers are getting paid, I wouldn't have gave him all that money. I think that if they had given him somewhere in the 10 to $11 million range, gave him Tyrell Williams money, that would have been the perfect amount for him. So kudos to Mayock for knowing Aguilar's worth and sticking to it. And not even that, but Aguilar and Ruggs should be the same guy on the field. Ruggs needs to be developed, and we can't continue to expect these rookies and young players to develop if you keep putting guys in front of them to block their path.
Yeah, I hear you. So here's the thing. I could again. This show's only going on the group, so I can talk more about this. So I was just telling Phil this before the show. About I don't know a month after the season, a couple weeks, when they already knew obviously they were cutting Tyree Williams. That $11 million was what they were initially going to offer uh, the alligator there. But I don't know what happened from then until free agency, obviously. The Raiders could have backed out of that and said, no, 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 we're going to pay less than that now. And then the Patriots call with this crazy offer, and obviously he's going to take it. But here's the thing. Yeah, the guy had I think he had a pretty good year, but all these vets, besides like Jordy Nelson, that come in, Derek Carr makes them look good. I mean, and it's just the way it is. If there's one thing about Derek Carr, he makes veteran wide receivers look good. There's not a lot of examples of, I mean, from James Jones to, Crabtree, a lot of these guys, this guy, he made him look really good. So I would not have paid him that much money just because of who they brought in as well. Remember, they brought in John Ross, who is, I think probably going to be better, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I wouldn't have paid him that much money. He's not worth that much money. And you also don't want to fall into that trap of paying a guy a shitload of money, and then he ends up playing like he did in Philadelphia, dropping crucial passes. And another thing is he's going to New England. And oh boy, he's not good in cold weather. You can ask any Eagles fan. So no, I would not have paid him that much money either. I think the Raiders were smart to move on from him and see what they do next. All right, let's go next question.
Number two, was trading Rodney Hudson really that big of a deal? You want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one. No, it's not that big of a deal. I didn't understand why people were so up in arms about it on social media. Listen, I know Rodney Hudson is Rodney Hudson. He's a good center. We all know that. The guy's allowed, I think, like 3 sacks. But you also got to take the whole body of work into play. Remember last season, the Raiders had a hard time running the ball up the middle. They really did. Their best success came when Devontae Booker would get the ball, run to the outside a little bit, and he would break through a hole. They weren't good at running up the middle. And Rodney Hudson's good at protecting Derek Carr, protecting the middle, but you could see that he was falling apart in the run game. Not to mention, this is something I could say here too, is you guys got to remember he sat out a lot of practices last season. He had a lot of ankle injuries, a lot of them, and that's been something that I guess I didn't know that during at the time, but was growing kind of old with the team, him not practicing, and he's supposed to be a guy who sets the tone, and John Gruden likes him, but when you don't want to take a pay cut and you're 32 years old, missing a lot of practices, and you can't take a pay cut for a year, even though he was going to get his money regardless the following year, the way it's structured. So, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to leave. You know what I mean? Because he seen the writing on the wall. And I think the Raiders will be fine. They obviously signed a center, and they still got Andre James, who I know they're very high on. So I think they're going to be fine. I don't think anyone's going to notice that this guy's gone by week 2. I just don't. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm going with. What do you think?
I think trading Rodney Hudson was a big deal, but I think it was a big deal for a slightly different reason than what most would think. Now, in terms of like you previously stated, in terms of his run blocking, his run blocking had declined severely since when he first signed the deal, and when car insurance, as it was aptly named, was actually performing like the number one offensive line in the league. Now, with that being said, the Raiders were getting ready to eat $15 million of his salary for cutting him. What Mayock was able to do, and I have to give Mayock his credit where credit is due, because I've been getting on him the last couple shows, was talk Gruden out of making a very, very what's the word I'm looking for?
Mistake?
Impulsive decision, and just cutting a man that was going to cost that much against the cap hit. And Mayock was able to trade him and get a third rounder for him, which was magical considering everybody in the world knew that they were going to cut this guy because that's what he wanted. And
Or his
so
agent leaked it. His agent
leaked it, and because Gruden had said it to him, and turning water to wine and getting something back for Rodney Hudson was a big deal. It allowed them to go out and get another couple guys to add to that defensive line and make room for Nick Martin, so that they could, who knows, still have one last hurrah home run swing at Deshaun Watson.
Oh boy. All right. So I just got to say this real quick. The whole situation there. I could talk about this more on here. So the whole situation here is Gruden tells Rodney Hudson that he needs him to take a pay cut to benefit the team, because as he told Rodney Hudson was complaining about not winning and things. So Gruden said, listen, we got to get better on defense. The only way we can do that is, as you see, we are cash strapped here. So if you could take a pay cut, I'm not just asking you, I'm asking a lot of players, pretty much all the vets, and they pretty much all did take one, the ones that stayed. So when Hudson says no, he then, tells his agent, and his agent goes out there and tells people that he's been cut. Now, Gruden was pissed at that point, and he was going to release him because of that report, but he didn't actually say I was going to cut you. He wanted to know if you want to take a pay cut. But then when that came out, Gruden was furious. Mike Mayock somehow, I mean, that's why this is a miracle, somehow went in there, even though all these teams knew, because, when Ian Rappaport tweets that the Raiders released Rodney Hudson, people take that as Raiders released Rodney Hudson. But he wasn't on the books yet. And every time, same thing with Gabe Jackson, we heard that he was being released. They told me he was being released. But then I would always get, well, he's not on the books yet. He's not on the books yet. He's not on the books yet. Then I think I asked you on one of these shows, and you told me like, oh, he's not on any, wire or anything, And that's when I asked, and they told me, yes, he's not off the books yet. They didn't want to tell me what they were doing. Somehow Mike Mayock managed to get a pick for both these guys, but to get a third round pick for Rodney Hudson when the whole NFL knew that he was going to be released, and the story was already out there that he has been cut, most people were confused that there was even a trade, because they thought he was cut. And Mike Mack smoothed that over. Now the only good part about this whole thing was Rodney Hudson did not want to go to Arizona, by the way. That was not his first pick. He wanted to go to New England. And New England, there's two other teams he wanted to go to. But Gruden was not going to let Rodney Hudson dictate where Rodney Hudson wanted to go. Because at that point, there was a lot of bad blood between these two. And this is a guy that Gruden loved. Remember, he loved Rodney Hudson. But because of him not wanting to take the pay cut and him, with the injuries and things like that, Rodney Hudson didn't like hearing all that. And the fact of the matter is, like I said, Andre James there was taking a lot of snaps during practices, and Hudson started to notice. And he knew, he's seen the writing on the wall, complained. Gruden got mad. Mayock comes in, smooths things over with his agent, says, listen, I can get a trade. He's not being released. The agent first did want him to be released, but they found a trade. And there is no trade. He doesn't have like anything in his contract, like a no trade clause or anything like that. And the agent and Rodney Hudson finally agreed, okay, fine, I'll get traded to Arizona. He did have they wouldn't give him the Patriots. They wouldn't give him, I don't know what the other team is, but it was Arizona, and I believe it was either the Carolina Panthers or Saints. It was one of those two teams that, were interested in giving the Raiders, a pick, but Arizona gave him a 3rd round pick. So obviously that's so that's why it makes sense. And that's why it was a good move, because come on, dude, no one thought the Raiders would get any picks for these guys.
None.
And it happened. So Mike Mack does deserve a lot of credit, because Gruden was being crazy, you know what I mean? And Mayock was able to, smooth things over there, at least with the agent, to get a trade, so that's what Gruden needs. Mayock needs to be more involved when it comes to shit like that, in my opinion. So let's go to the next question.
Question number 3. Should the Raiders sign more offense, yay or nay? Let me jump out on this and take this real quick. Kenyon Drake is one hell of a signing, and I've seen people who've been upset about it. But you look at the contract and the way that it broke down with the incentivized, and for a guy who ran for 955 yards and scored 10 touchdowns on top of giving you 127 receiving yards as a tandem back in Arizona. This is great for the Raiders. He's a little bigger than Josh Jacobs. He's 6'1", 211, I believe. Not quite as heavy. Another form of Bama back. And quite frankly, they're stylistically, they're a perfect complement to each other. You've got to stop running Josh Jacobs out there like that, because his body is not holding up. He's been injured in both his rookie year and his sophomore year. And you can see it in the field. He'll start getting happy feet. He's not hitting the hole as fast. And as much as we love Jacobs, we all got to remember he's slow. 4.67 for a running back is slow. So you look at Kenyon Drake in comparison, that 4.45 makes one hell of a difference. If you don't think it does, watch a 4.5 guy run next to a 4.3 guy, and that 4.3 guy will finish at least 10 yards ahead of him every time.
Yeah, but who's upset about the Raiders signing Drake?
You look on social media, a little Facebook, a little Twitter, and it's Raider Nation we're talking about there. You'll find a malcontent that doesn't like everything.
Wow. I mean, I thought
that was probably the best signing.
Me too.
Yeah, the free agency, to be honest with you.
Me too. I was just going to say that. I think that's their best. I mean, we'll talk about that later. But the question was, should they add more, right?
Yes. And so let me finish that. Let me finish that up. They definitely should. They're going to need at least another wide receiver. I was looking at the number for Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay wants 18.5, and I would really, really want to give it to him, but I just know that that's just not practical. You can't. Not they got too many other needs, but they signed Riddick back, so they really need to just kind of try to add a little bit more depth on the offensive line and get one more wide receiver, and then they got to develop their guys.
Yeah, well, here's the whole thing is, they did sign back Zay Jones, which I think it's the most stupidest move in the world. And I don't know why they did that. I mean, they think well, I'll tell you guys what they are saying, by the way, the Raiders. And now remember, some, I would say 60% of what they say when they sign a player, to me, it's always positive, is bullshit. And they
Yep.
don't even believe it, but they get their talking points. So they believe that Zay Jones, because this will be his third year in the system, he was really emerging last season. That's a quote. And they believe that he is going to take that next step this season, and they feel like they can line him up anywhere on the field. I'm not down with it. I think I've seen it, unless he surprises me. I hope he does. But also, I do think they should add one more wide receiver just because of that. Because when camp does come and Zay Jones isn't playing well, I mean, I just don't believe that Gruden's going to look at a Keelan Doss and say, okay, I'm going to plug him in as my, the fourth, fifth wide receiver. I don't believe in that. I think the Raiders will eventually sign a wide receiver. It might not happen soon. It might be some veteran or, some guy who's been around, next week or something. It could be, someone like that, but just someone there as a blanket almost. And we also got to remember, this is the season that is supposed to be Brian Edwards' year. This is last year, they held him out a lot. They didn't want him to get injured. They didn't want to show him too much. They want to learn the system. You're going to get a full dose of Brian Edwards this season. So you don't want to oversaturate the wide receivers either, because you want Brian Edwards to have a chance. You know what I mean? You want to see this guy shine. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much on offense. I think, I don't know if Theo Riddick is going to make it, but remember, we got the draft too. So I wouldn't be surprised the Raiders do draft a running back at some point later on in the draft, or even an undrafted guy bring in. And I also wouldn't be shocked if they go ahead and sign. It's John Gruden, so we can't, rule anything out here. I wouldn't be shocked if they go sign our veteran running back. You know what I mean? I mean, this is John Gruden. So yeah, I don't think they need to add much. They do need a couple more offensive linemen. They could do that anywhere. That's going back to the Hudson thing. This is why I'm not worried about it. I mean, Tom Cable can take people off the street and somehow their offensive line seems okay. You know what I mean? I mean, we watched it last season. I mean, they had that one bad game. I think Atlanta, remember Derek was fumbling all the time. He was getting hit a lot.
They had a couple stinkers, but that was
Yeah.
the worst one.
Yeah, but I mean, for the most part, though, I mean, the guy was pretty much clean, and some of those are Derek Carr's fault, not feeling the pressure. You know what I mean? Like not sensing the pressure coming. A lot of that is his fault. So yeah, I don't think it matters. I just think Cable knows which guys can hold up good enough for Carr. Because remember, Carr's not supposed to be holding on to the football too long, anyways. He's supposed to be getting the ball out of his hands fast. That's what they want from him. And when things break down, go ahead and improvise. Go ahead and run. Don't throw the ball into the turf and on 3rd and 6.
What
Know what
about
I mean?
4th and 1?
No, don't do that either. I don't think John Gruden would suggest that at all. But I think Carr kind of got that a little bit. He's starting to understand that when John Gruden says make smart decisions on 4th down, you know what I mean? Don't turn the ball over on 3rd down. He doesn't mean, just throw the ball away. He only means throw the ball away if you know you're getting sacked and you don't take a 15-yard loss if we're in field goal range. Any coach would tell you that. But I think Carr really wants to impress John Gruden. So he did go a little extra last season with the scrambling. And I hope he continues to do that, to be honest with you. But no, the Raiders, like I said, offensive line, yeah, add a couple. I wouldn't be mad if they sign another wide receiver, and I am not ruling out another veteran running back just because John Gruden. We've got to wait today to see what happens with Mariota. They're supposed to know. They want to know by Monday, but today is the day, since they already asked them. that it looks like something will probably happen. It might happen while we're doing this show. I don't know. But we're going to know eventually. He either takes the pay cut or the Raiders try to trade him. They already been trying to do that. So far, no takers. I'm not sure if how that works. If another team would have to take on his contract. If that's the case, then no team is going to do that because he's $10 million. So you can get him probably for 5 in the market right now. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But hopefully he takes the pay cut. I would like Mariota to have 1 more year as a backup just in case. But we can go next.
Absolutely. Number 4, what safety should the Raiders sign?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can take this one.
Okay, if he's not signed already, I don't know. Did Anthony Harris sign yet?
No, he has not.
Okay, so you got Anthony Harris, and you also got you got to remember there are guys who have worked under Gus Bradley, not so much just with the Chargers. I was telling Phyllis before, but throughout his coaching career, they are still around. It might be someone that fans are not thrilled about. It could be Ricardo Allen or Kenny Vaccaro, however you spell his name. But it could be someone like that. An older guy. But that's what the Raiders are going to need, and they are going to get it safe, a veteran safety. That's just a matter of time till that happens. They're not going to go out there without they don't have a choice here, So I do think they will. I think they're going to try, as long as this market, the safety market, the longer it goes, it's better for the Raiders. They want Anthony Harris. They want this guy not to sign with anyone for a week, because every week $1 million gets taken off whoever he was supposed to get. Remember that. So if the safety market goes down, and these guys are, they had like 7 guys they liked for safety, for veterans and stuff. So, if you think about it, if let's say 4 of those guys are still available, and it's 2 weeks from now, they're going to be able to get those guys on a 1-year deal for like $3 million, $2 million, really cheap money. So that's what they would prefer. But if these safeties start going quickly, the Raiders are going to have to make a move. But this also ties back to Mariota, by the way, because they need to know if they have that money. They need to, they're working with that cap situation. And Max guys with the whole cap, they got to know how much money they have, and Mariota not making a decision kind of ties up a lot of stuff. So that's why when people are wondering, why aren't the Raiders doing this? Because they still got to wait to happen to see what Mariota. If they can trade him, then they have $10 million, and you best believe they're going to go out and get the safety you want them to get, and they will get a cornerback. That's what's going to happen if they cut Mariota. If they restructure Mariota, they'll have to get someone cheaper for a cornerback and a safety, because they are going to add a cornerback. But okay, you're up.
I like Anthony Harris. The list of safeties that are still available are Daron Harmon, Keanu Neal, Kareem Jackson, Malik Hooper, Trey Boston, Xavier Woods, Jaquiski Tart, Tayshaun Gibson, Bradley McDougall, Ricardo Allen, Daniel Sorensen, Carl Joseph, thought he got signed. Maybe he was Will Parks, Jalen Watkins, Michael Thomas, Tavon Wilson, and PJ Williams.
Hey, wait a minute. I just gotta tell you, I do know the Raiders did talk to Xavier Woods, or Xavier. What's his name? Xavier.
Xavier Woods.
Yeah. That's the name of a wrestler too, so it keeps messing me up. But I do know they did reach. They'd spoken to him. Like, they have spoken to him. I don't know if he actually visited, because remember, there's visits that we're not going to hear about for
right.
Like a couple. Remember, like, Clinton Dix visited, but we didn't find out till, oh, guess what? He, let's say AJ Boy. So, it's gonna be one of those guys. But anyways, keep going. I'm sorry.
I like Anthony Harris. I like. I would like to see Malik Hooper. There's Trey Boston, and then the rest of these guys. To me, you could use Daniel Sorensen, but he's older. I think he's 31, and I would like to see somebody a little younger with a little bit more, that does a little bit more in terms of coverage instead of blitzing beyond for what they needed, because you need a free safety, and you may or may not need a strong safety depending on what they get out of Abram this year. We hope and pray that he will get his head out of his ass and do what he needs to do in order to make plays, and will fall in line when Alpha Yannick comes through and lets everybody know what time it is.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But yeah, so I think the Raiders will end up signing. Sorensen is a guy I could see Gruden liking now. You know what I mean? He just looks like a guy that Gruden looks at and says, "Oh, I like that guy. I like his toughness." Like I could totally see that happening. Totally, totally. I don't know any. I haven't heard that or anything. I could just see that happening. All right, what's the next one? I think that's our big one, right?
Il finale. What grades for Raiders free agency so far? Would you like to start that off?
No, you started off because we have to go. We'll talk about all the players. So
Laid it out on me, huh? So what would I
yeah,
give the Raiders for free agency so far? After the way that it started, it was looking like the sky was falling for sure. But the Raiders got their offensive line. They pretty much they got 3/5 of it back intact with the starters that they had and expected to move forward with. Losing Rodney and Trent. Trent looked like he was in good shape and motivated, but the problem is how long is he going to stay that way?
sure.
And that's the fool's gold. Even though when you looked at him, it was like, God, if he's motivated, then you got to keep him. Well, they figured that they didn't. There have been a few re-signings that I thought were quality re-signings. I like bringing Incognito and Good back. I like the fact that they finally paid Good and stopped jerking him around about his money. I like John Brown. It took a minute to grow on me because at first I was like, oh, this dude didn't even really play last year. He only had 9 games, 458 yards, and 3 touchdowns. But then when you look at what he's getting paid, it's like, okay, that was kind of similar to what happened with Nelson Aguilar needing a change of scenery from Philadelphia. Now, I
Yeah,
also
and also, hey Phil, just I gotta interrupt for 1 second. You gotta remember too. I mean, like this guy's gonna have better weapons around him too. I'm talking about the wide receiver. Like, he has Darren Waller now. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna get a lot more targets, I think, than he's ever did before. And I think Derek Carr is honestly a better quarterback than what he had. But I think that dude's overrated, to be honest.
Josh
But yeah, I think he's overrated. The guy from Buffalo.
Uh,
I
go
dude.
ahead. Go ahead. Elaborate. You out on a limb. You out on a limb on this one.
All right. Well, dude, did you look at him in the playoffs?
Yes, I did. You
The
know
guy,
what? You know what Buffalo's problem was in the playoffs? They had no running game whatsoever. None. Zero. None of
that's not.
those. None of those guys that they had in the offensive backfield were capable of carrying the ball past a yard or two past the line of scrimmage. It was awful.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? That's an excuse because people said that about Derek Carr when I think it was like Lynch's last year. They couldn't get anything going, but Derek Carr was throwing the ball all over the field and doing pretty well.
Hey,
So
where did Buffalo end their season? They ended their season at the AFC Championship, right?
yeah, Derek Carr broke his leg.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw Derek Carr in the playoffs?
Well, I haven't because he broke his leg. But I mean, and John Gruden doesn't know what he's doing sometimes. But I mean,
Was Buffalo's offense better than the Raiders' offense?
was Buffalo's defense 100 times better than the Raiders' defense?
I asked about the offense.
No,
I'm not
listen,
talking about defense.
Buffalo's offense was not as good as the Raiders' offense. No, I don't care what you say.
You don't care what I say. Well,
Anyways, go on with your list.
all right. So David Irving, for what they got him for, I was happy about that. They kept Nick Morrow in the payment range that I figured that he should be in. I figured if they at most it should be probably about 4 to 6 million because I quite frankly think it was a contract year success that he was going to try to get paid and then go and drop off again. But about 4.5 that he's getting paid is right about where he should be. So let's see him do it again. I didn't really Jonathan Hankins to me is just a guy. He goes in there. Everybody says he does this, that, and the third, but I've watched backup running backs go for 200 fucking yards on this defense, and a guy who's doing what he's supposed to doesn't let backup running backs go for 200 fucking yards in consecutive weeks.
Yeah, he sucked.
Quentin Jefferson is a question mark. He's the seventh. He's got the seventh highest pass rush win rate, which means he's beaten his blocker more than most. But he's only got about 3 sacks a year for the last 3 years, and those two things kind of don't really add up. He was hurt last year, and sliding into defensive tackle. So we're going to see what exactly goes on, because guys switching positions don't really seem to work for the Raiders. Because, you talk to LaMarcus Joyner, who came into the Raiders saying he loved being a slot. And then when he signed with whoever it was he signed with, now all of a sudden he just wanted to play safety.
Yeah, he's a liar. He's a liar. That guy's a complete freaking liar. Don't listen to that bullshit.
I did, especially when we pulled receipts on him and saw it. It was like, that's interesting. Solomon Thomas is a low risk, high reward kind of guy. You're talking about a top 5 draft pick who's had success, been to the Super Bowl, played under Robert Saleh. So he's gotten some good coaching physically, about 6'2", 280. So there are things that he's got the size, he's got the frame, he's got it all. He just needs to put it together, and hopefully Bradley can help him do that. If not, he's not costing you very much. He's coming off a torn ACL. He started 30 of 48 games and only got 6 sacks. So we'll see. Yannick Ngakoue, that's the big signing. It's a guy Gruden wanted. It's a guy I wanted. It's a guy, he's 25. He's an animal out there. He's got 40 plus sacks and 15 forced fumbles since 2016. His QB hits for the last 3 years was 11, 15, and 33. Got 33 total tackles for losses in the last 3 years. So what that says, the long story short, is that Yannick plays a lot in the opponent's backfield where he should be, and getting pressure.
That's what they wanted.
Being disruptive.
They wanted pass rushers. That's what they wanted to fix the defensive line and get pass rushers. They got it.
Yeah, they definitely did that.
But as far as this, who they brought in, you mentioned, it's kind of, it's like it's a gamble type thing. But I mean, these guys, usually this works out. You know what I mean? When you take a guy who's coming off an injury but was good the year before, you know what I mean? Because they're all on these like prove it deals. They know if they go into Vegas and they are freaking awesome, what awaits them is a big contract, just like Nelson Aguilar. What happened? He balled out for a reason. He put extra time in because he knew he was gonna get paid if he played well. And I think the Raiders, by doing these by bringing these guys in who come off like in a little injury here and there, but now they're fully healthy because obviously they're passing physicals here. Well, some of them physicals are still pending, by the way. But if they pass the physicals, you can't go wrong. It's not like they're overspending for these guys, and right. That's why I think it's good. But there's a few other names. You can go through the other guys. And we got Drake, which I think is a great signing. And obviously Denzel, their own guys. They wanted to bring back some of their own guys. I just want to add up with the Morrow thing. I do know this. This is for us here. Yes, Nicholas Morrow thought he was going to get paid a lot more money in free agency. He basically had to come back with his tail between his legs, basically, because what happened was he was hoping he was going to get I think thought he was gonna get like 7 something. You know what I mean? Like guaranteed. Like he didn't get what he thought he was going to be getting. And the Raiders, that's the deal they've had on the table for a while. I mean, that's the truth. They've had the same deal for a long time on the table. I know they did go up on their offer like 2 weeks before free agency because they were freaking out. They didn't want any of these guys testing free. No one does, but they didn't go up that much. His agent thought he was going to get paid a lot more. They contacted every single team. They got his market value, and suddenly the Raiders market, their offer wasn't too bad. It was pretty much
more generous, huh?
Yeah, like they basically, honestly, the Raiders gave him more money than he would have got from any other team. And that's what I was told. Like they rewarded him for, being, working with a terrible defense, working with Paul Gunther, dealing with all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like and so they did reward him. They gave him more money than what any other team was offering because they felt bad. It wasn't a shitload. I think it was only a couple million more, but it was, he tested free agency. He was not getting nearly what the Raiders were going to pay him. So he ended up signing back with him. And when they did sign back with him, they did throw in, I think it's this roster bonus or whatever. They went up like, I think it was only 25,000 from the initial offer, but they threw him in, a few. For us, it's life-changing money, but for these people, it's, a couple pennies.
Final grade. But, so where am I at? So I get to go first. This grade on free agency so far. I'm gonna give them a B minus. I like a lot. I like some of the signings. Some of them are head scratchers, re-signing Derek Carrier, Zay Jones, guys who don't play.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Hankins, who to me was meh. So and you got a couple reaches where you can make something happen, but you don't have any huge strike. You shouldn't have any huge strikeouts either. Out of all of the guys they signed, Yannick and Kenyon Drake have been the most consistent, and so I like it. I like it, but I've been on this train too often and too long to know better. And you're not going to see an A from me for this.
Well, yeah, I mean, we got to say too. I mean, we're just going off what's on paper. It's so when you give a grade, we're not saying it's impossible to know until these guys suit up. I mean, we thought
right.
Carl Nassib, who restructured his deal, by the way, we thought he was going to be. I mean, at least I thought he was going to be pretty good based off one season I seen him play. But then, when I looked at his other seasons, he was terrible. But I thought maybe, he was just getting there. You know what I mean? But then he ended up being shit. And I don't know why the Raiders even. Well, I guess they were kind of stuck with him. I mean, if they cut him, that was a hard situation to deal with there.
Yeah, that balance was not in their favor. Whether they cut him or kept him, it was going to cost them money regardless.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it does make sense just to have him restructure a deal and see if he makes the team. Because I don't think the money actually, he has to make the roster in order to get that money, just like any other player. So I think that's what they're looking at there and hoping that Gus Bradley can get more out of him. But as far as a grade, listen, they got Yannick, man. This guy is remember, fans were all mad they lost Khalil Mack and all that bullshit. But this guy, I mean, I can argue is just as good as Khalil Mack. This guy is really good, dude. He's really, yeah. I mean, and what I like about him is he's not so like clean cut as Mack. Not so. This guy is a dirty motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, he is a perfect Raider, and this is why John Gruden wanted to trade for him. And let's not forget, the Raiders were going to give. I think it was the 17th pick, right? Or 14th, whatever.
12. Yeah, whatever. It was the 12th. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
19.
Yeah,
19.
Yeah. So whatever Damon Arnett was, they were going to give that pick away for this guy, and the Jags backed out of it. And then the Raiders end up not having to give nothing for him. And I mean, they got him on a good deal. You know what I mean? Like they got him on, and one of the reasons why they got him so cheap is because he wanted to be a Raider so bad. You don't get a lot of that nowadays. That a player actually wants to play for a team. You know, like hey, there's a couple of players. They grew up like a Raider fan, like Marshawn Lynch, for example. He always wanted to play in Oakland. You know what I mean? He always wanted to be with the Raiders. Obviously, he loves Oakland. But this guy is another example. He likes the Raiders. He likes John Gruden a lot because John Gruden talks shit. And this guy's gonna go in that locker room, and guys like Jonathan Abram, who Gruden is very tired of him talking shit because he hasn't done anything in the NFL. Now Gruden has his guy. You know what I mean? Whereas before, Abram would hide behind Trent Brown, Rodney Hudson. You know what I mean? But now it's like, okay, Gruden has his enforcer of the team. And this guy is going to bring a whole new, a level of intensity and basically hey, listen, motherfuckers, it's time to step it up. I didn't come here to lose. I'm sick of losing. He is sick of losing. He wants to win. Now he's on a defensive line. The Raiders promised him they're going to do this, bring in more players, because that was one of the conditions when he signed there. He did ask, his agent asked for him, are you guys going to sign more defensive line to help us? Plus he does like Max Crosby. He thinks that guy, and people forget David Irving. I want to repeat myself here, but this guy was a beast before he signed with the Raiders, before he got in trouble. I mean, every year he was getting, even the last year with the Cowboys, before he got in trouble, he was tearing shit up. This guy is going to be good with a full off season. So you got Yannick, you got him, you still got Crosby. And as far as the free agents, they got Denzel Good back. They got everyone back they kind of wanted back besides Booker, the lower end guys. I mean, I like it. On paper, I got to give it a B too. And we're not done yet. You know what I mean? Who knows? We're going to get at least 6 more players, guys. Before the season starts, you're going to see about 5 to 6 more signings. It's just the way it works. So we're not even done yet. We don't know what they're going to do at safety. We don't know what's going to happen with Mariota here. It's up to him basically. But I like it. I like the Yannick signing. I like the Drake signing. I think that's one of the most underrated signings, actually, is Kenyon Drake. I really do. I think that is so underrated. This guy is going to be able, and this may sound controversial, but he might be the number 1 running back. If he can, if he stays healthy and everything like that. Because Jacobs, if everyone remembers, John Gruden wanted Jacobs to get the ball more last season. That didn't turn out too well. The guy got banged up. Now you have this guy coming. So Jacobs, in my opinion, is better at not getting the ball 100% of the time. Let him take a breather now and then helps Jacobs. Now you can do that. You know what I mean?
Go hot hand. Give him a series on, series off.
Exactly. And then you bring back Incognito. That bastard can still play. He may not be a nice guy. And that's what John Gruden basically did. He brought in a bunch of assholes. Good. You know what I mean? But that's what he feels like. I mean, John Gruden may be crazy, and we question his motives, like, signing a Derek Carrier back, even though, we can't really say Derek Carrier's gonna make the team. They still signed him back. So he does do weird shit. There's no doubt about it. The guy is a lunatic. You know what I mean? And makes some terrible decisions. But what his vision is for the team is different. His vision, what he wants, is more of a nastier, dirtier kind of throwback team. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he's used to.
No Fire Boys?
Yeah, I mean, Bible studies have ended, guys. And just to let you guys know, I mean, they ended last season, but still, they are done. There's no more of that going on around there. And John Gruden's a religious guy, but he even knew that shit had to end, Yeah. So, I mean, this team just got a lot more nastier up front. Say you want about these guys, but they're all coming off injuries or, they're all on prove-it deals. And Yannick is going to be in their faces, and he will get the best out of that defensive line. I guarantee you. He makes those guys step it up. And he's going to make that whole defensive line step it up. They still need to fix the secondary. We all know that. They need to sign a cornerback, and they need to sign a safety. Now they have Arnett and they have Mullins. They like both of those guys, but remember they had Nevin Lawson in there, so you need to get another like a veteran, you know, to help out basically there, and you need to get a veteran safety, and then they can go to draft and draft a safety, you know, that could be the future, or free, you know, a free safety that's the future. But like right now, I got to give it a B. I mean, I like all the moves besides the guys they brought back. Really, that's the only thing I don't like. The guys they brought back, I think, are kind of pointless.
Some,
Besides Denzel Good and Incognito, you know, they had to bring those guys back. But I'm talking about Derek Carrier and Zay Jones. You know, I just don't think there's any need for that. And Jeff Heath is still on the roster, correct?
yes.
Yeah, so he's going to be there. It looks like they're not going to cut him, right? I mean, unless they need money, then they would cut him. So he's like one of those. I think they're kind of just, you know what I mean? They're going to see what happens here. But again, this whole Mariota contract situation, that money right there, the Raiders need to know what to do. That's why they restructured Nassib's, because they had to figure out what to do because they were stuck with his contract. I thought they were just going to cut him loose because, you know, he was a healthy scratch so many times, and John Gruden literally hates the guy. But, you know, I guess it helps them save money by restructuring it. So you might as well keep him around, and we'll see what happens with guys like Arden Key. Do they let them even go through a camp, or do they just cut them outright? And this may sound weird to everyone, but watch out for Mo Hurst, just because there's been a lot of speculation about how much the Raiders like him. So, and you know, they do want more money to spend. It wouldn't, I mean, I don't think it would save him that much money by cutting him, but I would just watch out for that. And yes, the Jonathan Hankins thing, I don't know why they brought that guy back. What does he do? So that's why, you know, I'll give him a B. I'm moving my grade. Sorry, I'm giving him a C just because of Jonathan Hankins. For cunt.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, honestly though, yeah, they don't need to be bringing Jonathan Hankins back. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to bring Derek Carrier back. This guy must have naked pictures of John Gruden's wife. There's no other reason why this guy would keep getting a job. You know what I mean? Like,
his quarterback loves him. That's why he got that job.
Well, I guess they're just bringing him back for special teams. I guess that's like the thing. They like him on special teams.
That's what they say. That's what they say when they got a guy who never sees the field on offense, a special teamer.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Wilber's still on the roster because they need special teamers. You know what I mean? I mean, it is important. And Richie Biscotta over there, you know, these guys have already been in his, you know, he wants familiar faces. And the Raiders really haven't been bad on special teams. You know what I mean? No, but I mean, it's not like they're letting up touchdowns every time they kick the ball, you know? And they had, you know, a couple never mind. That doesn't really matter. I was going to say they had a couple of blocked field goals, but that's different. But either way, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the point is. That's my question. What's the point of bringing back Derek Carrier? What's the point of bringing back Jonathan Hankins? They say they need money, but yet you're kind of throwing it away to those guys.
About to see
in my opinion,
revolutionary 4 tight end set.
Yeah, they're not going to put Derek Carrier out there on 4. I mean, if they would have done it, they would have done it last year. They never put the guy out there. Even though I will say, you know, a couple times they did put him out there. He's made some plays, but they don't put him out there that much. But I'm guessing maybe special teams, and he is good at blocking. He's got really good at blocking since he's been with the Raiders. So maybe that's one of the reasons too, you know, just to put him out there for a jumbo package or something. But who knows? I didn't even know they re-signed him until I actually read it in the group chat. I did, you know, it's not like I'm asking about Derek Carrier, you know.
Right.
So
I'm like, what? You re-signed him? Shit.
I know. I was shocked. It's not like anyone ever said to me. They told me they want to take care of their own, re-sign their own. But like, you know, everyone kind of assumed what that list was. And, you know, and no one had Derek Carrier as a priority. I don't think he was. I just think, you know, he's already living there, and they're just like, okay, you know. Do you know how much they paid him anyways?
No, I don't. Let me see.
Uh,
He
I'm
got,
sure they, I'm sure they only paid him like 1 million, maybe two, with incentives. Maybe. There's no way they paid him more than that because he's not going to be out there that much. And not to mention, listen, if Gruden gets any, I hope Gruden don't have any. No, I shouldn't say that because I know that won't happen. I was going to say something stupid like I hope he doesn't think Derek Carter is better than Foster Monroe, but I can't in my heart think that Gruden would be that dumb. But
well, he thought that Jason Witten was.
I know, and it's John Gruden. I think, and I would think you'd learn his mistake from that. You know what I mean? And that's when, by the way, if Derek Carr wants to be a leader of this team, he needs to have more of a voice. When Tom Brady was in New England, don't think he didn't have a voice. Don't think Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a voice when it comes to his weapon. Maybe not defense, they stay out of it. But with offense, when it literally it goes to you, what I mean? It's on your shoulders. And Derek Carr, he hasn't got no extension yet or anything like that. He's not really that protected for the next few years. I thought they would actually do something to make sure he's okay. The guy just doesn't leave in free agency and next year or whatever it is. I thought they would try to backload an extension for him, just like a 2-year extension. That really meant nothing, but they haven't even done that. So that's kind of telling as well, unless it happens eventually. But it is weird because teams do that even if they think they're not going to be with that guy in 4 years. They want to protect themselves in case, But nope,
He
Derek Carr
got
ain't.
or he's got a cap hit of $1.2 million.
Yeah, so he's nothing. That's what I thought, like $1 million. I guess I shouldn't really be that upset about it then, because it really doesn't mean much. But still, I think that was stupid either way. I just don't think it's needed. And like I said, final grade, I'll give them a C, just because I don't like those guys being back. I think they could have took all that money and spent it elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know they don't want to overpay in free agency, and they haven't. They stuck to their guns on that. They really haven't overpaid. And they got the best defensive end, in my opinion, in free agency without overpaying. You know what I mean? So I gotta stick with my grade. Every time I think about Yannick, I want to give him a B, but I'm gonna stick with my grade, a C, for now, and then we will revisit this obviously in a couple of weeks and see who else signed, and we can give him. We'll have the same topic. We'll go back to our grades. So remember, Bill gave him a B. I gave him a C.
B minus.
Okay, B minus, whatever. B minus. I gave him a C. The hope is when we do this again in 2 weeks, right? When we bring up the topic again, or even next week, depending on how many people they sign. Let's say they sign 5 more players this week. The hope is my C goes up to a B, and Phil's C or B goes up to an A minus. That's the hope, right?
That is the hope. We'll see.
They gotta keep stacking up here. You know what I mean? I want them to sign a bunch of veterans at this point, because I want veterans in a secondary just so they can push the younger guys like Robertson and all those guys. You know what I mean? Like, they need that. They need to be, even though the veteran guy may have lost a step, he still has been in the league, for a long time. He knows what teams are doing. So when those drills come, he's gonna know if this wide receiver is just a decoy, or this guy's going to do a dummy slant route. He can jump it or something like that. Though that comes with experience, something Robertson does not have. So he can learn from things like that. All those young guys can learn from veteran players, and the Raiders can plug those guys in. They don't have to play all the time, but plug them in when they are needed. And as far as I know the group wants to know about Kyle Long. It was more of a Mark Davis decision, and I did hear that he was skeptical about signing with the Raiders to start with, because he doesn't want the whole Howie Long son thing connected to him. He has not been a fan of that. Howie Long never wanted his kids to play there because he felt like that they're not going to live up to be Howie Long, and there'll be tremendous pressure on them. So that's one of the reasons why they didn't sign. And Kansas City just paid him more money. So that's what happened. So, but it's not that big of a deal. Like the Tom Cable's not like crying about it. Let's just say that. So that's the good news. And he doesn't deal with no pressure of being Howie Long's son, living up to his, father's shadow, just like Derek Carr doesn't have to live up to David Carr's career. I mean, there's no pressure there, Derek. Your brother sucked. So
got a ring. He's still got a ring.
I know. And let me tell you something about David Carr. I know the show's going on long, but I went to a Giants preseason game and watched David Carr play. And this is after he was cut and everything. Dude, the guy looked awesome. It was against the Eagles. So I went with my dad and my brother. This guy looked awesome in that game. And all I kept thinking was, why doesn't a team try to sign David Carr now? This is like, after he left the Texans and shit. Like, no one ever gave him a chance again to be a legit starter. And if you remember, when he played the Texans, he got sacked like every single play.
Every time.
I know. Hey, so who knows? We will never really know how good David Carr could have been. We'll never know that. People can call him, I call him a bust just to, play around and stuff. But in reality, the guy was doomed. You know what I mean? So we'll never know. It's almost like Todd Marinovich. You know what I mean? Like, we'll never know how good that guy could have became if he didn't start hitting the crack pipe. Well, we'll never know. He chose crack over football. So who knows? I think it was crack, right? Crack or heroin, one of them.
Something like that.
Yeah, I just know I have his rookie card in a case, like a big plastic case. Maybe I'll send it to one of you guys in the group. I don't think it's worth anything, but I got it because my dad loved Todd Marinovich at USC. Literally, a thing is in a case with screws in it. I'm not even joking. Wow. So, yeah, he thought he was going to be the next big thing. Well, so did everyone, I guess. But nope, didn't work out that way. But anyways, we're going to wrap this up, guys. Keep your eyes out for more transactions. There's going to be more. The Raiders are going to sign a safety. And a cornerback. So don't freak out about it. It's going to happen eventually. Remember, you do got Mullins and Arnett who are supposed to be the starters there. So, it's not like they're going to sign one anyways, but, you got your starters right there. Safety is probably a bigger priority. And I don't think they're done, by the way, with defensive line. If there's someone they like, they're going to sign because they want depth there. Gruden, that was his biggest complaint last season. So they'll sign others if they're available. You know what I mean? If they come cheap. But how these things work is you never know who's going to call. The Raiders call all these agents, all these players, and then they call back when, they tested this team, and then they ask the Raiders, hey, this Minnesota offered this. Would you match it? And if the Raiders say, not only will match it, we'll pay them more. Boom. That's how a deal gets done. It happens within seconds. So that's why, when people want to know why, for example, Vic Tafer got all his predictions wrong. It's because no one knows what's going to happen. You know what I mean? It's impossible to know who's going to call Mike Mayock in 10 seconds from now. It's impossible. The Raiders call everyone, but it doesn't mean those people are going to sign. They're just testing how much they want. But I do know they reached out to 7 safeties. 7.
Count them.
Yeah.
Lucky 7.
That's a lot. That's a lot. You know what I mean? And and I should say too, reaching out, and it wasn't just, hey, we want to see what's going on here. They're reaching out with offers. You know what I mean? So, hey, here's, let's say $4 million. We'll be willing to pay you. And then that agent then goes around, and asks, let's say Washington, hey, Raiders will pay $4 million. Will you pay $4 million? And then by the time they go through all the teams that are interested, if the Raiders have the highest bid, they call the Raiders, and the deal's pretty much done already because the Raiders already did their homework on a guy and they like him. So that's how fast that happens in free agency, just so people are aware. So it's impossible to predict. So if you see people predicting on Twitter or guessing on Twitter, chances are it's going to be it's not real. And be careful on Twitter. I see too much fake stuff on there. These Twitter handles I never even heard of, NFL trade with a Z, and just posting random stuff. Raiders are signing, they said Raiders are signing this guy tonight. Like, why would you? It's just so stupid. It's like, it would be like listening to that. That kid in Las Vegas who pretended he was an insider. I forgot his name. Joe
Joe
something.
Lisi.
Oh yeah, Joe Lisi. Yeah. It would be like listening to that guy. And
or the Unapologetic Truth podcast, for that matter.
I don't know what that is.
Also,
what is that?
Joe Lisi.
Oh, is it?
Also, Joe Lisi, after trying to blatantly rip off my name.
Wait a minute. I know the show's going on long here, but this guy has a podcast?
No, he tried to be on one. He had one going with your boy Q, but as soon as I saw it come up, I spoke to Q, because me and Q are cool like that. And I also sent Joe Lisi some hate message talking about find your own fucking gimmick and do your own thing.
And this guy, I mean, I gotta tell you guys, I'm not just saying this any other reason. I'm telling you right now that the guy's a fraud. He doesn't know anyone. Like, I mean, I did like a lot of research. You know what I mean? Like, this guy started off just being like pretending he was a Green Bay Packers insider, and he's been like Green Bay. If you go ahead and type in his name with Packers in Google, if you don't want to believe me, you don't want to take my word for it, please go type in his name with Packers. You'll see a bunch of message boards, and he used to be like part of this message board, I guess, and he got caught lying about a bunch of shit, like crazy shit. Like Randy Moss is in Green Bay right now. Aaron Rodgers is throwing him the football. He's about to sign the deal. You know what I mean? Like, just making up stuff. The guy doesn't even live in Green Bay. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ever been to Green Bay, but he's just making up shit like he's there. It would be like me saying I'm in Las Vegas right now. I'm sitting here in reality looking at the ocean at Hampton Beach in New Hampshire. But I mean, that's like, the guy's a fraud. I just hate that's the truth. I promise you on my children, I would never swear on my children if I didn't know someone 100%. The guy is a fraud. No one knows who he is. No players talk to him. He just follows a bunch of players and pretends he knows people. It's weird. He's mentally ill. That's the only thing I can tell you. I don't know. It gets me mad. I work too hard to do this shit, to see these fake people. And meanwhile, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning stalking a fucking janitor at a fucking Raiders headquarters. But it is what it is.
Lengths we go through to get you information. Never just understand that when you're begging for information, that means somebody's got to go to work and got to go find it and dig it up and make somebody say something that they shouldn't be saying, so that we can bring it to you for this.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, it's not really a janitor. He's the guy who he's a greeter, but he's one of the guys I use because he's good, because he has to punch in the numbers to let people in. So, when I can get him to respond, which he doesn't respond a lot, but when I get him to respond, I can find out stuff like who's visiting and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, or if it hasn't been out yet, if someone already visited, I can find that out. Like, I found out Melvin Ingram been in Las Vegas for the past 2 weeks. I don't know what that means. I don't know anything what that means. I don't know if that means he's already has a deal.
He's got a deal?
Yeah. I don't know what it means other than he's been in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? I don't know if he still is, obviously, but for the past 2 weeks, he's been in Las Vegas. And I don't know why. No one will tell me why, but that's where he's been. Maybe it's just because it's not a far ride from LA. I don't know. I really don't know. But something to keep your eyes out for, obviously. Anytime a player is in Las Vegas, usually they're there for a reason. Like, no one's gonna go visit New England, the Foxborough, for no reason. You know what I mean? Las Vegas, I know, is more of a tourist type place, but still, it's free agency. So keep your eyes up for that. But anyways, guys, throughout the day, like I said, keep watching the Mariota situation. Like I said, Arden Key, Jalen Richard's another one. The Raiders could cut him, save, I think, $2 million or $3 million. I don't think they would, because they, but I don't know. have not been told either way. I'm just telling you the numbers, but there are going to be more transactions. I know that for a fact, because I've been told already to stop harassing someone because I've been asking about secondary, and I was told, don't worry, the secondary will be addressed. And I was told that 3 times, and for me to stop asking the same question. So I'm telling you guys, the secondary will be addressed.
Well, stop asking.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even ask anymore because I've been asking so much. I mean, now I'm just annoying people, which is common. But I'm trying to slow down. Stop annoying them. Because I feel like if I'm annoying these people too much, they won't talk. They won't give me anything. So I gotta back off just a little bit. Be a good boy for 24 hours, then I can start again. But that's what I do for you guys. That's what I do, all for you. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up, Phil. So tell your show's tonight, isn't it?
It is at 5:00 p.m. Pacific, 8:00 Eastern. Me and
All
Phil
right.
Jones, The Unfiltered Truth, where we will talk about everything. Well, we're probably going to go over the free agency moves ad nauseum some more and in deeper detail.
And by then, guys, something could happen with Mariota by then. So they might have someone to talk to. So make sure you guys tune in the Phil show. Both those 2 Phils, you know who I'm talking about. It's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yes, it will be. It'll be on YouTube and Facebook Live. You can check us out on our Facebook page, The Unfiltered Truth, TheUnphiltered Truth.
Yeah, and listen, I had several better names for them. They didn't want to take it, so they're sticking with Unfiltered Truth. Whatever. But anyways,
on uncut.
Yeah, that sounds gross. It does. It sounds disgusting. No one wants to walk around with that on their shirt, dude. Stop it.
Everybody
Raw.
love
Giving. No. You have to phrase it better, because you can't say
uncut.
Or how about just uncensored, since your name is Unfiltered? Given it to you uncensored truth, the unfiltered truth. No, I don't know.
I don't like
okay. Oh, you go with you're getting raw and uncut. Go with that.
I'm running with it. I'm gonna run
you
wild.
do what you
like
gotta do,
Hulkamania.
man.
Like Hulkamania.
That's right.
Just gonna run wild.
I just want you guys to become successful. That's all I want. I just want you guys to win. So, if I die, I can say, hey, look, I helped these 2 guys. They became mega podcasters.
Mega
you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how much years I got left in me of doing this. So I need you guys, man. Hey, you know what I mean? Like, this is a lot of wear and tear. And I need,
it's not for
you guys to take over. I told you, when I die, you guys can just call it the Raiders Daily. Take all the people that listen to me. They won't know. And they'll figure it out after a couple of weeks, but then they'll keep listening,
There you go.
So anyways, we're gonna wrap this up, and I'll see you guys later. Remember, Phil's show is on tonight. Do not miss it. You'll want to hear about it because they have a lot of stuff to talk about. And we will see you guys next week. Just let you guys know in the group what me and Phil are doing. Is this one is just for the group, and then like next week will be like a public one. And we're alternating stuff. Like, obviously this one's more personal. We could talk more shit and curse more and stuff. Yeah. So anyways, thanks a lot for listening, and stay tuned for more Raiders. We're doing it, guys. All right. See you later. Phil, say goodbye. Let's get out of here.
Peace, Holmes. Take care.